Ashraf would like to know what what test data strategies do you find useful to be in your automation tests? Excellent question.
Yeah. So it's sort of a combination of different things. So sometimes we use mock data, but it's not just relying on mock data entirely, because even though mock data is excellent in some cases because it's fast, you don't have to interact with third party APIs. Sometimes it could get disconnected if you're not updating your mock data regularly. But then if you just want to verify like the visual side or like the functional aspect of the application that you're building, and it can come really handy because you don't have to like integrate with a lot of like third parties or like the backend service, to get the data that you want. Um, it has that initial setup though, so there's a consideration that you have to do, that it's not as straightforward as just just like running your tests. Like you have to do some setup yourself. You can also use like test data fixtures, so you can like just copy the response of like a specific endpoint, and then just put it like on a JSON file, and then just use that as well. Like that's really handy, because you need to make sure that you have like controlled data. So whenever you're testing something, it has to be on a controlled way. So if you have means to set up your test data before you run your test, so if you use like test hooks, then that's also ideal. There is one approach, I haven't used it, but I was speaking um, with 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 someone from PAC. So his name is Matt Fellows. But basically, he wrote a blog post on how to integrate your contract testing, like the contract that you get from PAC, and use that as a mock data for your Cypress test. I'll try to link the blog post, but it's something that I might do in the future, because there we do have some tests in our like in one of our project, and we want to sort of leverage using the contract data rather than using mock data, so that it's much more reliable, because the contract will be validated by the provider. But yeah, it's just an idea, but I haven't sort of implemented it yet. But it looks like, like I think in the future that might be like one way. And there's an example GitHub repo as well, so I'll try to find that.